The Oyo Empire was one of the greatest kingdoms in Africa. Its armies were feared, its kings were respected, and its wealth stretched across the land. But behind all that glory was a dark secret. There was a man who never wore the crown, yet kings feared him more than any enemy. He chose who became Alaafin, and he decided who would never live to rule. At first he was praised as a hero. Then he became the most feared man in the empire. One after another, kings fell beneath his shadow, while no one dared challenge him. People began to whisper a chilling saying, 10 kings, 1 Bashorun. It sounded impossible, yet it was true. But power built on fear never lasts forever. Hidden inside the palace, someone was waiting, watching, and preparing to strike. This is the incredible story of Bashorun Gaa, the Kingmaker who became more powerful than the king himself. Gaa was born into a noble family in Oyo during the late 1600s or early 1700s. Many believed he was descended from the famous Bashorun Gaa. From childhood, he grew up close to power. Although Oyo was rich and powerful, the palace was full of uncertainty. Kings ruled for short periods, and many were removed by the kingmakers before they could leave their mark. Watching this happen taught Gaa an important lesson. In Oyo, the man behind the throne could be more powerful than the man sitting on it. As he grew older, Gaa joined the army. He became known for his bravery in battle and his sharp mind in politics. Slowly, he gained the respect of warriors and powerful chiefs alike. Everything changed in 1754. During the installation of Alaafin Labisi, Gaa was appointed Bashorun, making him the head of the Oyo Mesi and one of the most powerful men in the empire. The people welcomed him with hope. They believed he would protect the kingdom from weak rulers. But they had no idea that this appointment would change the history of Oyo forever. The Alaafin was the king of Oyo, but he did not rule alone. The empire was built on a system that shared power and prevented any one man from becoming too powerful. The Oyo Mesi, a council of 7 powerful chiefs, advised the king and chose every new Alaafin. At the head of this council stood the Bashorun, the second most powerful man in the empire. The Bashorun did more than advise the king. He approved new rulers, commanded the army, and played a major role in almost every important decision in the kingdom. If an Alaafin ruled badly, tradition gave the Bashorun the power to act. During the annual Oran festival, he could present the king with an empty calabash or parrot's eggs, a silent command that the Alaafin must end his own life. Another powerful office was the Aare-Ona-Kakanfo, the empire's greatest military commander. He led Oyo's armies from the frontiers and controlled thousands of warriors far from the capital. For generations, this balance of power kept the Oyo Empire strong. But once Gaa became Bashorun, he began to bend the system in ways no one had ever imagined. Soon, the man chosen to protect the throne would become the greatest threat the throne had ever known. Once Gaa became Bashorun, everything changed. He no longer served the throne, he controlled it. The Alaafin was still king, but Gaa held the real power. The first victim was Alaafin Labisi. Soon after his coronation, Gaa removed the king's closest allies and stripped him of authority. Humiliated and alone, Labisi took his own life. Gaa then placed Awanbayoju on the throne, but it was a test of loyalty from the beginning. He ordered the new king to prostrate before him. Owanbioju refused and paid with his life. Next came Agbolwaje, a peaceful ruler who avoided conflict. For a while, Oyo enjoyed stability, and the Grand Bibi festival filled the capital with celebration and tribute from across the empire. But the celebration ended in tragedy. When the Alawi of Popo arrived dressed more magnificently than the king, Gaa saw it as an insult. He declared war, and before long, the frightened Agbolwaje took poison. Then came Majiogbe. By now, Gaa's power had reached its peak. His sons ruled many towns, collected tribute, and treated the empire as if it belonged to their family. Majiogbe quietly searched for a way to fight back. Some accounts say he secretly poisoned Gaa, leaving him crippled in both legs. But even weakened, Gaa still held the palace in fear. After a dispute involving Gaa's sons and the royal family, Gaa demanded the king's death once again. Soon Majiogbe was gone, becoming the fourth Alaafin to fall under Gaa's shadow. Across Oyo, people began repeating a frightening saying, 10 kings, 1 Bashorun. Gaa had become the most powerful man in the empire. But a new Alaafin was about to take the throne. Unlike the others, Abiodun had no intention of becoming Gaa's next victim. Before becoming feared, Gaa was one of Oyo's greatest warriors. His victories made him a hero and earned him the respect of both soldiers and the people. As Bashorun, he led Oyo's armies across a vast empire. In 1764, he helped defeat an Ashanti invasion, strengthening Oyo's power and protecting its borders. He also kept Dahomey paying tribute and crushed rebellions from Bariba and Nupe. Every victory increased his fame and his influence. The people praised him as Oyo's protector. But the more powerful he became, the more he wanted control, not just over the army, but over the entire empire. The warrior who once defended the throne was slowly becoming the greatest threat to it. Power changed Gaa. He pushed the Alaafin aside, ignored the old councils, and ruled the empire as if he were the true king. He placed his sons and loyal followers across Oyo as governors and tax collectors. They oppressed the people, and anyone who complained was quickly silenced. Fear alone was not enough. Stories spread that Gaa possessed powerful charms and could even change into animals. Whether true or not, many believed no ordinary man could defeat him. But time was catching up with him. Gaa grew older, his health declined, and the fear that protected him slowly began to fade. For the first time in many years, his enemies saw hope, and they began to plan. When Alaafin Abiodun became king in 1774, he knew that challenging Gaa openly would be suicide. So he hid his true intentions, visiting Gaa with gifts and showing him respect every single day. But behind the smiles was a king waiting for the perfect moment. That moment came when Gaa forced Abiodun to give him his daughter Agbonyan as a wife. Not long after, she was killed on Gaa's orders. Abiodun never forgave him. By then, Gaa was no longer the unstoppable man he once was. Age, illness, and old injuries had weakened him, and many of his supporters were beginning to lose confidence. Abiodun seized the opportunity. In secret, he formed an alliance with the Onikoi and the Aare-Ona-Kakanfo, Oyabi. Together, they planned a coordinated attack to destroy Gaa's network across the empire. The rebellion began suddenly. Gaa's sons and loyal followers were attacked in different towns at the same time. Many were killed, while others fled for their lives, leaving Gaa isolated. With his support collapsing, Oyabe marched on Oyo Isle with a powerful army. Fierce fighting broke out in the streets as Gaa's loyal soldiers made one final stand. In the end, the rebels broke through. Gaa's compound fell, and the once feared Bashorun was captured alive. The man who had made kings bow before him now stood helpless before the throne he had controlled for so many years. His reign of terror was over, but his punishment was only just beginning. Gaa was taken to Akasan Market Square, where the people gathered to witness the fall of the man who had ruled them through fear. According to Yoruba tradition, he was executed publicly, and his body was burned so that nothing remained of the tyrant who had once terrified an empire. Other accounts simply say he was hanged, but all agree on one thing: his reign had finally ended. His family, allies, and properties were destroyed to ensure his influence would never rise again. With Gaa gone, Alaafin Abiodun finally ruled without fear. Peace returned to Oyo, but the empire would never be the same. The tyrant was dead, yet the scars he left behind would outlive him. Bashorun Gaa wanted absolute power. For years he ruled from the shadows, made and unmade kings, and believed no one could ever bring him down. But history has a way of judging every ruler. In the end, the man who controlled an empire lost everything, proving that fear may win power, but it can never keep it forever. Even today, Gaa's story lives on. Not just as history, but as a warning that no throne, no title, and no power lasts forever. If you enjoyed this journey into the history of the Old Oyo Empire, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to History of Ancestors, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next documentary. Thank you for watching, and until our next journey into Africa's remarkable past, stay curious and keep history alive.